What's going on, everybody? So, I'm going to do a stream today of Victoria 2 versus Victoria 3. If you hear some sounds in the background, it's my daughter, my wife. We moved in from a townhouse to an apartment, and the square feet has dropped quite a bit. Um, Mainly because rents they jump up every like $100 every year. So we just figured we buy a house where the rent don't do that. Um, but lost my office and lost. Yeah. Anyway, so Victoria 2 versus Victoria 3. I did a video a couple days ago, if you look at my live stream, about the stuff that I don't like about Victoria 3. So I'm going to do both today. So, Victoria 3, I'm going to run and I'm just going to show you some of the things that I kind of like. I really didn't like. I'm just going to highlight them, and then we're going to run into Victoria 2, and then I'm going to show you the difference. So, we're along for a ride here. I was thinking about building a wall in my our bedroom, which about the same size, I think. Thinking about building a wall, and we talked to our realtor. She says if you build a wall here, it's going to increase the value of the home. I did some quotes, and people are like, it's going to be like $1,300 to $1,700 to build this wall. The wall is only going to be like 6 feet by maybe 5 or 6 feet. Like, are you kidding me? I was just like, so I was thinking about doing it myself, but then Christmas came around and realized I need the few extra $100 that I had to spend money on gifts, so that's out. So I was gonna soundproof the walls and everything. And so con number one for Victoria 3 is the initializing game. This takes forever. It's taken forever. I loaded the game up already. I had a whole gaming session the other day. And by the way, I'm going to be looking here on my Mac here because that's where I have the. I try not to do two screens on this because it taxes the GPU. So if you have a comment, I will look here and I will post. And I also make my screen art using Pixelmator, which is better than Photoshop because you buy it once and you own it. Unlike Adobe, where you pay like $20 a month for Photoshop or something like that. I can't believe this game is taking this long to load. Longer than Hearts of Iron 4. What are they loading? It's not like there's individual like provinces and stuff like that. So I don't know what they're loading. There's actually less provinces. I think they click by state. So I don't know what the heck happened there. There we go. Finally. All right. So this is my last 7 days ago. It's been 7 days. Maybe this high, beautiful art here, which I mean does look nice. It's just not. Okay, so one, this is a lot of GUI. The GUI here is just really bad. There's just too much. There's just too much. I think too much, just too much data, right? And there's so little to do. I have like what do you call it? My legitimate governments, and to do this, you have to get one of the what do you call it? The political parties or not or whatever, one of these groups here to align with you. And I've tried by doing things like this, and then doing this, and I did bolster for some of them. It did nothing. So I'm like, whatever. You could do this, but you need legitimacy to enact laws. So that was out. So like, I'm all stuck with the legitimacy thing. Um, but that's something that I'm gonna learn, eventually. But the other thing is the military thing. You cannot move the military where you want it, and this is like a big thing for me, right? Like I love Victoria too because it had the military thing where you can move troops to individual provinces, increase tension. You put an army of $100,000 on the board, 100,000 troops on the border. The other country is gonna say, "Yeah, I don't think this is for training purposes." Um, and like they're mixing things with like militia and conscripts. So the United States has a militia system, but you could also do conscripts, which never happened in the United States. It's just weird. Um, and then like I'm in a war right now, apparently. Right. So I'm in a war for the Indian Territory. I don't know how this happened. I try to make them like a state or something. So I moved two armies into the area, the regular army and the army of Florida. I wonder if you could change their names. Can you? Not right away, I guess. Maybe there is a way. I don't know. This is another thing. Is this should be easy by just clicking on this. Yeah, it should be easy to change the name. Okay, there we go. Customize name. Okay. So I have these two, and the war broke out here. Why? And there are two fronts here, and I guess I'm assuming it's because it's Indian territory, right? There's an army coming down called the First Pawnee Army, right? One battalion, led by a general. Okay, Push Mata Anderson. Okay, I think he had a different name before, but I don't know. It's just weird. So the military section, you can't move armies where you want them to increase tension. This becomes just overload sometimes for me. Just way too much overload. The economic system. I wish in like Victoria 2 you had like scroll wheel. You don't have scroll wheel. It's more like Imperator where you could do this, which I don't like. You know, it's really cool to get to right to medium, but not right at medium, staying low, but right at the cusp of medium. In buildings, right? So you have to click this to prioritize the buildings to make them and make it privatized. Now they did add capitalists to this game, so the capitalists can build stuff, but then it becomes nationalized, so you can control it. It's just a lot. The learning curve is a lot, man. And just like with Hearts of Iron 4, when Hearts of Iron 4 came out, it was like a total revamp of the system. It took me so long to figure out how that worked, right? I think I learned Hearts of Iron 3 faster than I learned Hearts of Iron 4. And Hearts of Iron, excuse me, Victoria 3, I'm learning a lot harder than Victoria 2, right? So I have all these factories. How do I build artillery? Well, I mean, I went through this whole thing in the last video, couldn't figure it out. It says something I have to build barracks, but then when I in the back, it's just complicated. It's bloody complicated. Um, and I went through like all these. I went to like down to here, wheat farms, arms industry. I'm like, all right, well, if I build an arms industry, rifles, repeating. Okay, well, that's not artillery. Okay, well, maybe there's something else. Munitions plants. Okay, well, that's just percussion and explosive shells. Where's the artillery? So I couldn't figure that out. Maybe explosives here. No. Okay. So I just kept going and going and going. I mean, I eventually somewhere somehow there is something here. Maybe adding a surge bar up here, artillery. I don't know. But I'm gonna jump quickly out of this game. I just installed Victoria 2. I just literally started it. I know the game is a little old. It came out in 2010, so it's 14 years old. It's not that old. We're gonna run the game. Has a couple of DLCs. And install in DirectX. Now, as like I said, a couple of DLCs that you can add to the game. It's cheaper too. $20. Nothing beats black coffee, man. Ooh, delicious. Check for update. All right, so Victoria 2. All right, so I wish I had like a stopwatch. Let's do that. All right, let's see how long. Now, Victoria 2 has provinces, has tons of provinces. Let's see how long. Because if it's longer or about the same, I'll be like, all right, you know what? I'll give Victoria 3 a pass on the loading. Turn, turn. Why isn't this working? Processing flags. Now, mind you, this is the first time. First time I loaded Victoria 3, it took like, I don't know, 10 minutes because I had all these shaders. Why is the AMD thing popping up? So, if this loads faster than the first time I loaded Victoria 3, I'm already running into a little bug here. This was meant for a different operating system. I don't know if you guys could hear the music. Did it crash? Did it crash? What happened? Uh-oh. Spaghetti-O. That might even be worse. You gotta love Windows. Gotta love Windows. Let's give it a minute. By the way, just to give you a heads up, I don't know if you guys you follow Steam OS. I would show you here if it allowed. Are you gonna show me? I lost control of my mouse. You see that? It goes to the Victoria mouse. I'm assuming once it loads, it'll give me back control of the mouse. But I don't like Windows. I do IT for Windows. And I don't like Windows. Like when you know an operating system has trouble with like with just time management, it's pretty bad. Anyway, I'm hoping it's loading the game and it's gonna give me back control. But like this is ridiculous. Like I can't even end the task. Okay, there we go. All right. So let's try this again. Anyway, if you guys are not familiar, CSS happened. CES, Consumer Electronics Show, came out recently, and basically Valve was there. If you guys are not familiar with Valve, well, Steam is Valve. They announced that they're going to pretty much open up Steam OS. That was a lot fast. That was fast. Okay. Um, and that they're gonna put it on more handhelds, which is awesome. And I call it. They're gonna put it on more handhelds and possibly full operating systems. Now, this is a huge thing. Developers might. I know. Developers might switch completely. Anna, bring it to your room. The developers might switch from making games on Windows to Linux to SteamOS, and I'll tell you why. The reason why, and I highly would recommend this, is because when you launch Task Manager, you're launching so much stuff in Windows, tons and tons of processes. They run fax processes. That's not the full list. That's the list after I cleaned out most of all the stuff, right? They run a fax service. I'm not joking. Like if you install clean Windows, the amount of processes that they run in the background is ridiculous. That's why some games actually run better on SteamOS than they do on Windows. Um, Games that were made for Windows run better on SteamOS than they run on Windows, because SteamOS is like better. Anyway, I'm gonna choose the US, and I like, the other thing I do like, I like the GUI here better. So I feel like everything's a little bit more snappier. Obviously, it's a 2010 game, so I'm gonna give it that. And look how many more provinces there are. Like, you have all these things here. And I feel like there's more data. Like, I can hit Stanton here, right? And it'll tell me there's 13,000 people, culture. It's just, you know, I mentioned the other game has so much data in it, but the GUI just makes it so confusing. This is so much easier. Like, I hit Washington, D.C. Okay, how many people in Washington, D.C.? 46,000 people, right? Uh, Sold grain yesterday. Cultures 40% Dixie. The ideology. Like, it's just so much easier. I can click Norfolk. It has two naval bases, no railroad. Like, it's just so much easier. The GUI is just cleaner. I love this mini map. I could easily figure out where the railroad is. You can't. I mean, maybe you can do this in Victoria 3 after hours of playing. I still haven't figured it out. This is so much easier and cleaner right here. Like, okay, so there's a couple armies. You click on them. It's so much more easier and cleaner than the other one. You have Army of Observation. I have 9,000 men, right? And obviously, this is because of the Texan War of Independence. So, I have DLCs in this game. So, let's click this. Diplomacy. Show wars. Texan War of Independence. So I click that. I can increase relations. Let's do that. Look how fast that was. I guarantee that's faster to do that than... It's probably faster to do that than in the other one. Research. This, like, I don't know if you guys saw Victoria 3. The technology system is more like Hearts of Iron 4. This is easier to me, I guess. But, I would say it's equal. Does WASD keys work? No. Okay. So I have 12,000 men here. I can see where all my fleets are. In Victoria 3, I can't figure that out. Right? Like, it's just much more difficult. I could just select all these fleets to just mass together. And I'm going to move you guys to Atlanta. Yeah, let's go to Atlanta. Now, the other thing is, I can figure out where the railroads are, okay? So the railroad is this. I have a railroad here, right? I'm going to... Oh, my bad. Sorry. No, you guys go up to Atlanta. Oh, that's bad area. Let's move you guys here. Alright. So, I deselected that. I see that, there's a railroad here to Manhattan, to, this. I wanted to go to Washington. So, I haven't played this game in a while. So, let's click this. Expand railroad. Expand railroad. So, I can invest in these projects, basically hire civilian contractors, and they're going to do it. I don't have to do anything, right? Now, and the reason I'm doing this is I want to link between New York and here. I'm probably going to do something here to expand railroad, because I want a railroad to go to Washington. I don't have enough money. But the beautiful thing is, I spent a lot of money, so this is so much easier to understand. Like it like is a little budget here. It tells you how much money you got. This is so much easier to understand. Oh crap, my bad. Sorry. Then Victoria 3. So I guess I'm probably taking out loans. And then so like also like I don't know if you guys noticed the my daughter's loud. Uh I need to build I need to build an office that's soundproof. $1,300 or build it myself, but even when building myself it's going to take like 300-400 dollars, and yeah, I don't know if I can afford that. So I was thinking about putting my gaming setup in a closet, emptying the closet and being in like a closet. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But this seems so much more easier to control the economy and stuff than Victoria 3. So like administration 20, it's operating at 26%. Okay. I can probably do that. Social spending, I'm not military spending, I can do that. Projected daily balance is that. My national stockpile. This is how much on taxing the rich, the poor, the middle class. Now, if I reduce this, right, the rich will invest more. I don't want to, and I want to reduce taxes a little bit. I want to be a good president. And then here you have just, this is so much more easier to kind of understand and kind of like, I don't know. And then this right here is also another thing that I wish they had in Victoria 3. Maybe they do. I just didn't find it. This is just easier. I don't understand why everything in Victoria 3 is much more complicated. So my projected balance every day is about, let's increase tax just by 1%. 647. What am I spending money on? $847 is going to, hold on, spending on land units. Oh, I guess because I got a clipper ships artillery. I guess we're buying all that. That's pretty much automated. So I guess once all that stuff is bought, I have a national bank, total funds. I already took out $3 billion or $3 million, whichever way. And it's cool. I mean, like, it's quick and easy. It tells you the Bank of the United States, I owe that much. I owe private investors 1,500. So like, it's cool. I like it. It's, and then once, like, I guess I pay for all the artillery, the small arms, the ammunition, and all that stuff, that'll drop down. And I'll start paying off my balance. Look how easy it is to just manage the military. I have nine light ships, three clipper trips, and I have 11 man of wars, right? And I could put them right here. Let's unite this. I could help out the Texan War of Independence too. Send expedition. This feels so much easier. I'm telling you, man, it feels so much easier than Victoria 3. I have the main army here, the U.S. Army of 12,000 men. I have the Army of the South with 21,000 men. It'll tell you if they have any supply issues. They don't. I have 23 ships of the United States Navy coming down. So it kind of gives you like the economic and the military. It's a perfect mix. It's kind of like making the perfect sauce, right? Perfect tomato sauce, right? You make the perfect tomato sauce, a Chef Ramsay sauce. It's just perfect. You taste it, you're like, Man, right? And then you get this new game, and you taste the sauce, and it's like, it's missing stuff, right? It looks good. Like you're looking at the sauces, and like Gordon Ramsay's sauce is like, all right, it doesn't look appetizing, but dang, is it good? Victoria 3 looks very appetizing, but it's just like, I don't know, it don't have that ring to it. What I think they should have done is took Victoria 2, improved the GUI, improved the map, right? Keep the main elements the same. Let me get in touch with Mexico. I want to see if I can, yeah, my budget's not good. Let's see if I can increase tariffs a little bit. 2% tariffs. I'm gonna increase this. I probably reduced that by too much. I need some money. I have $5 in the bank. $5 million. Great Britain requires military access. Discredited. I don't care. Is that under the control of Mexico? No, that's under the control of. I feel like if Texas is on the verge of losing a war, then I will get involved. They have 3 brigades. War exhaustion is at 0. Mexico is losing by -1%. When the current war score is at least 1%. But I could help warp subsidies. Yeah, I'll help you guys out, even though I'm poor. I can't afford it. But honestly, like, to me, this game feels just much more. Like, I know there are interest groups, right? You have politics here, right? So you have the democracy, you have this. Now tell me this is less confusing than Victoria 3, because it is, right? Like in Victoria 3, you had that laws section, right? You have the reform section here, and it just basically gives you a full outline. It's much more just streamlined, right? It's kind of like, I don't know, like if I'm looking at podcasts on my phone, if I take my phone out, right, and I look at podcasts, right, instead of giving me like, 4 per page, right, and I have to scroll next page 4, next page 4, it gives me a list of, I don't know, 16, right, and I could say, okay, I see Linux, I see Mac, I'll be interested in those, it's just less clicking. Movements, there's no movements going on. Decisions, I can make decisions. There's nothing. I can release nations. This to me seems so much more cleaner. Democratic Party is in charge right now. They're free trade interventionists. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you guys is production. I'm not making any of these. These are all independently owned. I'm a free country. I'm a laissez-faire country, right? So you can see right here, there's some, investor, whatever, right? That's making what is they're making fabric, right? But they're losing money. Their daily balance is minus 19.6. Now, one cool thing that I can do is I can subsidize it. I can say, all right, I'll cover your losses because we need dye in this country, right? There is a can factory. We need can factories. It's closed. Oh, can I reopen? We're not allowed to open it because money need is. Okay. I could demolish it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to subsidize some of these because I need lumber. Actually, no, I'm not going to subsidize that. We don't need too much lumber. We need steel, and they're taking heavy loss. So we'll do that. I can get involved in the economy without building the economy. There are 2 projects going on. So this is, I think, stuff that I put in, right? The number, it tells you how many capitalists are investing in this in New York. Actually, I don't think I built this one. So the capitalists are building this. There's 421 investors. I can invest in it. This is what I want. Foreign investment shows you foreign investment. Even when subsidized. Now I know, like, I should be doing more stuff. Like I should be like figuring out if these states need more, whatever. But I just want to show you guys. I'm not actually doing this for like reels. So like right now I have 1,000 clerks and 8,900 craftsmen employed, which is great, right? There's nobody here. There's like 600 clerks, which I'm assuming in the background is doing things like immigration from other states to American New England. Now, what I can also do is if I reduce this to 46%, you're going to see foreign investments go up, these projects go up. I don't know. To me, this seems so much cleaner. And I don't know if it's just because they're not using a full UI or if everything's condensed. It just seems easier to understand. And then it tells me here the bankrupt following Massachusetts, there's a can factory. And then right here it tells me there's 5 unemployed in Indiana, Missouri. What is this? So, and then, wow, okay. So there are 9,000 unemployed craftsmen in Massachusetts, probably because of this. Now, like, this is a big thing that I love, is right here it says, I can't build a factory. You know why? Because I'm a laissez-faire state. So, I can increase craftsmen here. They're making good profit. They're making 14. I wish I could open this factory. I can't. But maybe there's something in the background that somebody is gonna reinvest in this. You never know. There's 2 projects going on. The Mexican army took over this part here. Can I help you out any other way? I'm gonna discredit Mexico. Oh. Ah. So like right here, I could intervene in the war, which I'm going to do. And this will just give you a better idea of like, okay, so I have now 30,000 men on the border, right? I know where my ships are. I'm assuming the main Mexican ports are in this area. I could split this fleet. I'm not going to because this is not going to be a real game. But I'm going to send the main army here. I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna have the army all meet up in Austin. There is a Mexican army of about 14,000 men there. So they're going to meet my army here. Here I can quickly... This is much more easier than the Victoria 3, right? I can quickly hover over Winfield Scott. There's not going to be this big portrait of him. It's just Winfield Scott, okay. Plus 3 attack, plus 54 morale, plus 21 organization. I don't... In Victoria 3, they just make this guy so big, takes up like a quarter of the screen almost. Bilko says it has got great reviews, not that that makes a full picture. Do you think it's worth it? If you have Vicky too, honestly, I've tried I think 2 or 3 times to play Victoria 3, and I get so frustrated. The military side kind of broke me. Like I was like on the fence when they added the capitalists. I'm like, okay, that brings me back a little bit. But now the capitalists can build in Victoria 3, but you have to manage it. You have to manage the factories and stuff, and it's just like that's a communist country. I'm not communist, right? Um, the other thing is, let's say I need artillery, right? So let me go to the military side, right? So build army, right? Or actually, why not? I already have an army. So let's go here, right? How do I build artillery? All right, so let's figure this out. Disband unit, split unit in half, create new unit. Okay. All right, that's not that. Okay, so let's do this. Build army, create admiral, create general. Like I said, I haven't played this game in 5 or 10 years. Okay, so I see. How about this? I think if you do this, um, excuse me, if you do build army and you click this, then you could build an artillery. So I figured out how to build an artillery. So right now, supply consumption is 130%. There's probably a reason why I can't build an army. I wonder why. Mobilization. Now the other thing that I want to show you guys there's irregular infantry, which is the militia, infantry, cavalry, artillery, and then you have like hussars and stuff like that, right? And there's probably a reason why I can't build artillery. I'm assuming it's probably because I have no money. Uh, there's no money. Let us. Where the majority of the money is coming from this. So let's reduce this down to. Yeah, it's still too much. Because I guess I'm maintaining the military, and the military needs to be at top priority. So I bet you if I go into the budget and then bring down the military spending, it will probably fix that. But I'm not. I mean, obviously I'm at war right now, so I'm not gonna do that. And I owe there about that much. Oh, all right. And I like this thing right here. It says, I don't even think this is a Victoria 3. So this to me it looks a lot better. Like New York News, war between Belgium, Bolivia, and Argentina. And then this is so much more easier to understand than the Victoria 3 method. Right? I have 19,000 men on the Winfield Scott. He's going to engage there. I have 8,000 of the Army of Observation. They're going to retake Lubac. Actually, let's wait here. And I love this. Like, this is what I want to see. So I'm taking out Antonio de Santiana, and it gives me projected. I lost 2,000 men. They lost 5,000. I won. Yeah. So I have 19,000. He has 5,000, which will give him 17,000. So I'm gonna actually have this army meet up. So if I do status quo, hold on. Oh, let's do this. I think as I'm running the war, let's see if I could just end this war quickly. Alright, so if we did the status quo, yeah, so that's how easy it is to get the Texan War of Independence. Now, Texas is its own country, right? So technically, I don't own Texas. They're their own country. I helped them out. I lost about a couple thousand men, but eventually they'll be U.S. Now the cool thing about this game is that when Texas will apply for statehood. It will apply for statehood, not in Victoria 3 where it's like, oh, they're a state. It's the date. They're a state. What? That's what happened on my last stream. Um, Ronald Tucker says Victoria 3 is economics on crack. It is. Yeah, I feel like, honestly, I said it in my last stream, you need to be economist, whatever, to play that game. And the GUI is so bad that it's so difficult to understand, right? Like, if they took maybe the economic system from Victoria 3, put it in this GUI, it would probably be a lot easier to understand. Like, I don't need to go through like 10 menus to figure out what's going on. Just by this, I can understand. I am exporting timber, tobacco, and fabric. So, what should I do? All right, so here, national focus. Let's do timber because that's what we're importing as our top good. Top imported good. Actually, I probably should invest in tea, fruit, and wool. So, let's go here. Let's do wool. Can I do wool? Oh, I didn't even know this is something new with the DLC, party loyalty. Encourage soldiers, diplomacy, automotive, electrical, chemical, encourage shipping, textiles, wood, steel, machine parts, armaments. So I probably should do that because I don't have a real armaments industry. I need wool, so let's go over this again. Bank industry. Wool is part of... Yeah. So we need something like that. So I'm going to have that do that. See if I could do Boston armaments industry. Alright, so we don't need wood. So cool. I'm now investing in armaments industry, so eventually I'll be able to build my own artillery. Now, like I said, I'm not saying... Bilko says loves your streams. Thank you, I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you. I'm not saying this game is perfect, but it's close to perfect. Right? It's close to perfect. So, you see this? I don't think this was in the beginning of the game. The capitalists decided to make a railroad between Charlotte and Wilmington. I didn't do that. They decided to do that. Right? Production. Oh, this is still being built. Oh, man, they closed out. So you got to keep up on this. They closed this industry. Now, and I love the fact that you can subsidize. So I try to subsidize anything that's not doing well. I wish you could reopen the factory. Oh, I can. But I need $2,500. I don't have it. So I gotta figure out the national stockpile, because this is something they changed. So let's do, I don't know, 50% on both. I'm gonna reduce all this down to 50. Because I gotta figure this out. They did change some of the mechanics, and again, it's been a while. So that could stay at 100, right? No. And then we'll lower the military down to 146. We're still projected to lose money. The majority of the money is coming from this. Spending on naval units and land units. So I could actually probably... Let's do this. I know this is stupid. But let's just theorize, because I can figure this economic system out very quickly. Boom! Okay, so let's go right about here. So now I'm making money. So the military was taking up. So a change that they made in Victoria 2, I figured out in what, 1 minute? 1 minute. We're losing. We are losing a race for Oklahoma. This is Oklahoma. I'm assuming. I forget where Oklahoma is. Is this that? I will not allow Mexico to take Oklahoma. So now I'm making. Wow, I'm making a lot now. So now check this out. I can go in here and I can reopen these factories. I can subsidize them. That's going to. That's going to right here because you know you guys noticed that like I got a lot of unemployed, right? So Massachusetts was at it was just at 2,000 a second ago. Now they're at 40, 191. So like this is really cool. Like I can affect the economy in such a simple, easy way, and it's easy to understand. Like these factories are open. I'm subsidizing them. They're employing a bunch of people, and I can also deal with other stuff that's going on, like the Underground Railroad movement. I can deal with the colonialism, right? In Victoria 3, there's just so much to do in the economy, building, managing. The GUI's just so bad that it requires you to click. It's like a click fest. So for me to even get involved in international politics, I think I spent a total of like 30 seconds, maybe, like something like that, on international politics because the economy was just so much. And I got involved in that war, and the war was confusing. Like, how was my troops moving this fast? And it was so. Oh. And I was playing for 2 to 3 hours. That was the first time, right? That was just the other day, a couple of days ago. The first time I played it, I gave it hours and hours. I still couldn't figure it out. Bilko says, "Have you played any of the combat mission games?" Yeah, dude, I'm a huge combat mission fan, and has Slytherin has bought Combat Mission, the actual license for the game. So I am looking forward to that because Marco and Paulo, who work at Slytherin, and Ian, who is the CEO, I believe, all incredible human beings. I actually been emailing them this week about a game that they're going to revisit. All I will say is the developer was Black Lab Games. Um, they are investigating what made one of one of my favorite games so addictive and so successful. I'm not gonna say because I don't want to get in trouble with them, but if you guys know me, you know what games I love from them. Especially, I love all their games, but especially this game. Um, you know what I'm talking about. I sent them an idea, a summary, and he's forwarding it to that developer. And so say we all. That's all I'm gonna say. So say we all. All right. Um, I'd say they're right up your street. Yeah, yeah. Combat Mission's the best, and with Slytherin and Matrix Games financing it because they bought the license, um, and marketing it, dude, it's gonna be next level. It's gonna be amazing because nice. Uh, they're gonna make these games because it was originally owned. Combat Mission was, I think, run by. I interviewed the development team. I forgot how big it was, but it was not big at all. It wasn't that big, I don't think. But now Matrix and Slytherin own excuse me, own Combat Mission. They could put in tons of developers into the game. Um, because Combat Mission's been redoing a brand new engine because well it needs it. It's I forgot what It was the last time the game engine was updated. I think it was in the 2000s when from based on the interview that I had with them last time. So it's been a minute. Slitherine Matrix can put in the resources and the manpower to expedite the development of that engine. So I really love this. Like, just like this thing. I don't think this is a Victoria 3. So right here, I didn't do this tactile industry. I encouraged the tactile industry. It's kind of like almost like being the president and going to like investors in North Carolina is like, hey, you guys should really build a textile industry in here. It's like, really, why? It's like, well, we need a textile industry. It would be great for your population. And, I mean, if it doesn't, it doesn't work out, we can subsidize it, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And they're also building, what else they're building? Building two things. I saw the other thing. But I can also make a stake quickly. There's nothing I can do there. Muzzle loaded rifles. I'm making 100. I can repay off my debt. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to give me more money. And look at this. 41 unemployed in Indiana. So I could just go to Indiana, right? And I can encourage something to get these craftsmen jobs. I'm not going to do it right now. There's only a few hundred of them unemployed, so I'll wait till a few thousand or a few hundreds more are needed. But like that military section, I feel like that. I don't know. To me, I like that military section. I got involved in a war in Victoria 3, and I just remember not being that impressed with it. I just don't like the whole military section in Victoria 3. I think it was by far one of the worst. Now look at this. I could build artillery. Look how easy this is now. Like, I still, Victoria 3, after like 5, 10 hours, whatever it is I'm on Victoria 3 on Steam, I still haven't been able to figure it out. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to build a Dixie one because you know what's going to happen. So I'm going to build this one there. That's it. I made it. That was, what, 30 seconds? And it took me 20, 30, 40 minutes in Victoria 3. I still couldn't figure it out. Yeah, I know they're losing money, and I'm subsidizing it, so I'm losing $13. I'm losing $17, but I'm making $100, right? And it's fine because they're employing these people, which are going to take the money that they make from working at this lumber factory and then buying other stuff with it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the economic system is working. It's working. And music sounds better, I think. I don't know. Bilko says, "What's the new stuff? Hints, please." I really don't want to get into it because I don't want to violate their trust. But all I'll say is, I've talked to them about doing like a merch store. They're considering it. So like, Hearts of Iron. Excuse me, not Hearts of Iron. Battlestar Galactica Deadlock T-shirt, Battlestar Galactica Deadlock sweater, Battlestar Galactica Deadlock poster. Um, Panzer Corps 2 shirt. Like when I go to my coffee shop, right? I want to like have a Panzer Corps 2 shirt, right? One, it's free advertising, right? I'm Not only is it free advertising, but it's also like they're making money. So, but I talked to Marco about it, so they're thinking about it. All I will say is there is a game that they're working on that they made that they're going to come back to that they mentioned. Um, and they're researching now why that, I'll just say it's a space game, why that game was so successful and how to make a sequel to it. That's all, I'll leave it off. And if you watch my previous streams and when I mentioned a summary, you can kind of probably piece together what game I'm talking about. But Marco, from Slytherin, and Paulo and Ian, they're the most incredible people you're gonna run into. Like they're just, I want them to run everything in the gaming industry. Anna, can you keep? So now I only have 20 unemployed. So sometimes it makes profit, sometimes it doesn't. But it's good to subsidize it just in case, because you don't want the factory to close. And this is another cool thing. It is in Victoria 3, but I can go to Mexico and I can order. I can bill. Well, actually, I can't because I'm a laissez-faire company, laissez-faire government. So, like, I forgot who is not laissez-faire. Let's go to here. So, free trade, protectionism. So, Southern Democrats, right? I think protectionism is where I can get more involved in the economy. Excuse me, I'm sorry. State capitalism, interventionism. So, if the Whigs, interventionism. Okay, so like the Southern Democrats take control, I can, and I can work that out. Like I can go in here and change this, and promote for loyalty for reactionaries, conservatives, liberals, and kind of like change the policies over time. Look at this. All right, so I got it at Richmond. So somebody built, I think, a railroad in Richmond. I built it in Washington. I built these. I'm gonna build. Oh, not bad. I'm gonna build it in Fredericksburg and Manassas. And the reason why you want to do stuff like this is to it affects the economy, I believe, but also like it moves your troops faster. And I noticed in like Victoria 3, right? Like I had a war out here. The army was moving at like a pace that I was just like, okay, it looks like they're on a railroad, but there is no railroad. Like it was all roads. So it's like, it's just like little stuff. Like I don't. And now I have a lot of money. I can start increasing my military spending to like a little bit more. National stockpile. Start building more units. So I have regiments, I have artillery, so I should probably have what do you call it? Cavalry. So I'm gonna build cavalry. We're gonna build Yankee cavalry because we all know what's gonna happen soon. And I have 3,000 artillery, so I'm gonna put them with the army of observation. Look how easy that is. Now you'll notice how fast they're moving now, right? Because it's all railroad. And then you'll notice once they get to like Harrisburg and these areas, they're gonna slow down because it's not railroad, it's roads, and the soldiers have to walk. Yeah, look how long it's gonna take. Anyway, I think it does seem, yeah. I mean, like they moved from here to here with much shorter time frame. Now it's taking them a bit longer. And I love this because I'm like, all right, so I could see what's going on in the world. I can see there's improvements here in Denmark, PayPal research completed, war between Brazil and Paraguay, right? Brazil and Paraguay. So I can go like, all right, interesting. Let me see what I can do. I can produce a justification war with them. Like to me, this is so much simpler. Like I don't know if you guys saw in Victoria 3. If you go back to my earlier stream from like a week ago, right? The diplomacy section, like right here, I have like five, right? Things here, right? And I'm fine with having maybe more, maybe like five more or six more. But this is so much easier to be like, okay, I see what this does. Okay, cut down the size. Okay, acquire state, add sphere, right? Victoria 3, I kid you not. The decisions were one entire row. And each row was about the size of it like this. So, like about the size of this cursor. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're looking at probably like a dozen or two. And then, they had another one below here. It was just like, it was ridiculous. Like, and I'm fine with all those options, having more options to do these kind of things. But like, make it simple. Put it into something like this where I can be like, okay, humiliate. Well, I don't want to do that. Dismantle fortifications. Nah. Acquire state. Add sphere. Let's do that. Because I want them added to my sphere of influence. Railroad has been built on Long Island. Details. Okay. Iron muzzle loaded. Let's do that. So as you can see, the capital is built. I don't know why they build. I don't think is that. So right now, infrastructure has 16% here, 16% there, 16. Right, infrastructure here is a 0. And as you can see, like it affects the army how fast they move. I love that, and I hate that in Victoria 3. That's not a thing. Like you would think somebody would have said like, "Hey," to the game designer, like they would have sat down and been like, "Hey, by the way, you know how like we move the armies to the war, right? Well, like if there's no railroad there, maybe they should move slower." And the game designer should have been like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." Because like obviously, why would they move faster as fast on roads and as they would on railroads, right? So yeah, let's do that. Let's make a penalty of minus 50% movement. Simple. Like I can code that. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you guys that and then we're going to I'm not gonna save this because this is not a real game. But I'm gonna flip back to Victoria 3 real quick. Let's see how fast it loads. And I'm gonna show you that war. I'm gonna do that battle because you guys saw the battle between Mexico and the United States. I want to show you the battle between. I don't even know how that war broke out. It said something like, I think I decided to incorporate. They were part of the United States, and I think I made them a state, and then they rebelled or something stupid. And I remember just looking at it, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense at all. Why am I at war with them? Like they were in the United States. Like it just didn't make sense. And then the whole legitimacy thing. Like I could understand the mechanism for that in Victoria 3. It's just confusing. And I tried to resolve it. Like my legitimacy was with one party, with one not party, but a subset of that party, and I try to like promote them, promote one of their ideals, and it did nothing to legitimize my government. So like, what? You know, for the awesome Nicola says, did you figure it out? For the I honestly, I still, I did it. Why is this game taking so long to reload? I have AMD 6600, 8 gigabytes of video RAM. I gotta clean my gaming PC. I haven't done it since I built it, which was about a year or two. So I gotta build a wall, soundproof the wall. I gotta get a new piece, gaming GPU, which is probably gonna be $300-400. The wall is going to be like $1,300 if somebody else does it. So that we're looking at $1,700. This is a 500 watt power supply, so I'm going to have to increase that to 1,000 watts. So that's going to be about 100 something dollars. I probably need a new CPU because mine is a Ryzen 4, 3, or one of those. So I'm probably going to need a new CPU soon. So yeah, it gets expensive. I was thinking of getting an AMD 78 XT. I was thinking of getting that. It's like $400, I think. All right, so we're at war right here again. Like I said, the GUI. Like, don't tell me this is not. This is overload for me. Like, to me, this is just way overload. Like, it's just too big. Too big. Let me see if there's a way to. You could switch countries. That's cool. Okay. Options. All right. Is there a way GUI scaling? Let's do 50%. Okay. All right. So there is a way to kind of move it. Settings. Let's do 80%. Okay. So it's not that as overwhelming, but again, it doesn't give me as much data as the previous one, right? In the previous one, I was able to kind of like, I don't know. To me, this seems much more complicated. Why are you changing the colors of the maps? Radicals by profession, interest groups. It just, I don't know. It just, how do I get to? Okay. All right. So there's a war going on here. Let's click the military side. All right. Let's run it. So there's an army here. It's minus 98%. Fully mobilized. Plan an invasion of an enemy state. All right. That's I guess naval invasion. Okay. So deploy to front. Okay. Cool. Deploy to front. This is weird. Why would they? Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna complain about that. All right, so I'm gonna send them over there. They have 1,000 men there. Let's deploy them here, so they could take care of these 1,000 men there. So what's going on? First Indian Army, the general is called General Frank Ross. Does that make any sense? If you're Native American, would you name? would you first have a okay? It it's been broken out for like a year at this point. The annexed subject. It was part of my country though. Is the battle going like okay, active battles, there's no active battles. Okay, so now there's a battle going on. Alright, let's slow this down to 1. Alright, so officers 29. Why would they tell me how many officers there are? Why does that even matter? Average defense. Oh no, excuse me. That's offense. I thought that said officers. So 29. Zachary Taylor. Oh, it tells you where it's state from me. It's, or no formation. So I have that many troops. They have a lot less. 158 guys. It does tell you cool things like how many have been wounded, KIA, panicked retreats. All right, failed defense, successful attack. I don't know. I mean, to me, I mean, I guess this is a little bit cooler than the other one. Maybe not really, because the other one also gave you like, you have these are your penalties crossing the river and stuff like that, dice rolls and stuff. And then this guy, I don't know, like, how do I get him to engage him? And then why does this guy need another general? Like, I don't know if Paradox knows, but there's a military command structure, right? There are no two, three generals of an army, right? If you're running, I don't know, let's say the, I don't know, U.S. Third Army, right? Patton. Patton was the commander of the U.S. Third Army. Patton didn't have with him Eisenhower and, Omar Bradley as co generals, right? You had Patton. You might have had another brigadier general underneath him, right, and a colonel. But general, it was probably Patton as a major general, lieutenant general, then somebody as a major general, then a brigadier general. That's a chain of command. What they should have here is like, okay, you have a colonel, like you can assign a colonel here. I don't know, just weird. Um, awesome Nicholas says, is Victoria economy better than Vic Key 3? Uh, Me personally, I like the Victoria 2 economy better than the. Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. Victoria 2 economy is way better than Victoria 3. You need to be an economist to understand how this economy system works. Also, it's stupid. I'm just going to stay straight, right? You have capitalists that are building stuff, right? So I didn't build this fertilizer factory. Some capitalists are doing it. It doesn't tell me who the investors are. So I don't know who's building it. So that's one thing. I don't know who's building it. Somebody's building it, right? So it doesn't tell me who's building this factory. I'm assuming somebody in Missouri is building it, right? And then after it becomes a factory, I don't think I control it, which goes against the whole point of a laissez-faire, which is what the United States is right now, country. So like, I don't understand this. Yeah, all this looks just so capitulate, set terms to white peace. propose. It says propose. There's a proposed peace deal in the war. You were part of it. White peace. Even this is confusing. How can you make things so simple that things that are easy to do in one game and make it complex in another? Like, how do I even accept this if I wanted to? Okay, increase annex. Okay, I can't do that. Can't do that. I guess capitulate is only. Gosh, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And it still doesn't tell you who's. All right, let's take another thing. There is a tooling workshop being built in Pennsylvania. All right. Um, I think I initiated it. Building is fully employed. Financial. But I privatized it. I think I privatized everything. So, and the cool thing with Victoria too is you can change people. You can change them from like if they're farmers, you can make them soldiers. I don't think you can do that here. So as like they expanded certain things and they reduced others. Because I remember in Victoria, I needed like more soldiers, and I was able to convert them, farmers into. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember doing that. So I have this army on the board here. There's this army of 1,000 men. I don't know if they're facing each other across. And this is also weird too. Why do they deploy here? Why not? So bad, man. Wasn't I war? Isn't red mean that I'm at war? So is already being deployed, but you're not deploying. You've been there forever, man. So you're just gonna stay there? Like what is going on? Like, do you guys see how bad this is? First 20, so you can customize your enemy units. Is that what you spent your time on? Really? Was that like really necessary that you did that? Proposed peace deal. Okay. I guess I gotta wait, maybe. I'm in IT. I deal with complex graphical user interface, PowerShell, command prompt. I use Linux. I'm very smart, I think, in terms of technology. This is fracked. This is probably the worst. This is the worst Victoria game I've ever played in ever. And I've played every Victoria game since the 90s. Um, let's see. A guy from somewhere says hi. How are you? Not doing well, obviously. You can rank up your generals. Okay, yeah, but it still doesn't differentiate with all the negatives about this game. I love Vicky too. Vicky 2 lagging China. Austin Nichols says, wait for the war to play you, then you can make peace deals, then a surrender limit on top of your screen. Is that a negative for the enemy? Then that means you're winning. Why can't I have the army just destroy their army? Why can't that 7,000 man army, battalions, whatever, go to that army, destroy it? Like, I don't understand. That's how the game works. The game works stupidly. Like, I can tell you, as somebody who worked at Apple and Microsoft, this is the Microsoft is really bad at design. Just want to point that out. This is really bad design. Really, really bad design. Right? I listen to tech podcasts where, like, developers and designers talk about, like, how you have to make the GUI understandable for the user to play. You have to, like, spend your time. You have to, like, do testing. What would be the natural thing for a person to do if they were able wanted to do something, right? Like, so for example, if you have the podcast app, right? You open up your all right, I have podcast app here. All right, I open it up. What's the first thing that should pop up? Well, it should pop up like a storefront of, if you don't have any podcasts, the podcast that should be like the most popular podcast. All right. Well, all right. I like this podcast here called ATP. If I tap it, okay, it brings up the podcast. It gives me, what's on the latest episode. There's a library section here. There's a browse section here. Okay, 4 buttons on the bottom, easy to understand. This browse section tells me Severance is here. I can go through here. Okay, this is easy. Okay, um, natural causes. I don't know, abandoned the All American Ruins podcast. Let me tap that. Okay, latest episodes gives me all the latest episodes, right? Bonus episode, a 10,000 year story, All American Ruins. This is easy to get. I understand that. I can literally listen to this podcast instantly. Like, I could find one. This is not simple. This is so difficult. Oh, they actually made the WASD keys work on this one, not on Vicky 2. At least they did that. I should be able to click this army, click it here, and have them go to war. But I can't do that. Let's go to 3. I have to wait based upon him. Austin Nicholas says you have to wait for your army to capitulate the enemy. It does it automatically for you to do attacking. Why? Why does it do it automatically for me? This is the. And I understand, I think, from one of the dev diaries or their things, is they want you to act as the president. So you know how, like, Lincoln was telling McClellan, you need to attack the enemy, you need to attack the enemy. And McClellan was like, no, no, no. And I understand the realism part there. But this is a game. This is not real life. People liked being able to attack. Like in Victoria 2, how I was able to move my army and attack the Mexican army and win the war. That was cool. This is not. Can I combine these armies? Let's see if you can combine these armies. Look how many buttons there are. Go to pin, raise conscripts. You can't even combine the armies. That's how bad this is. And if you can, I can't figure it out. So I guess I have this. I, I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. So let's go to this fertilizer plant. I don't think I made this. So looking at the economy system here, right? It's building one fertilizer plant. The fifth 5,236 in the world. Okay, I have six fertilizer plants. I like that. Tells me that it's on the Missouri River. Who are the investors? Because in Victoria 2, I'm able to figure out the investors. Shh. Employees, obviously there's zero because, but it should tell me who are the investors. I just, so the private factory is being built. We looked at the fertilizer plants, right? Um, Tooling workshops in Pennsylvania. I think I did that one. No, I didn't because it's private, right? Or maybe I did and made it private. I don't know. Cash reserves. It tells you that. It does tell you some information. Tells you the workforce. And I said negative is you can't change the workforce to what you want, but it doesn't. It doesn't tell you levels owned. Privately owns two levels. All right, so there's 1,000 capitalists. I'm assuming. I don't know. This is so complex and so. And then let's go into building artillery. All right, I want to build artillery. Right. So let's go to the military section. This right here is confusing to me. Right. Just even the arrangement. Right. Like you have the Army of Florida, regular Army, and Army of Observation. Right. Technically, similar to Victoria too. Right. Now let's take the Army of Florida, which was the previous army. Right. Okay. Okay. Now it looks like I can do it. Expand barracks in Tennessee. So I have to build barracks for the artillery. So that's how you do it. Okay. I think it's still a stupid way of doing it. Like, build barracks for these in different states. So I have an army that is stationed in different states. So the artillery for this army is here. The infantry is barracked here, and the is barracked there. Does that make any sense? Like for a 19th century army, right? The army is usually together, right? This is not modern day, right? Like I can tell you somebody that's been in the military, right? You do have the 32nd Infantry Division, right? And it's spread across multiple states. But this is the 21st century, right? You can come. It's a very different military than it was in the 19th century. And I think they're trying to incorporate some of that. And then also, you have conscripts and you have regulars. So the conscripts I know are not militia. And then the conscripts and then the militia and then the regular. It's a lot, man. It really is a lot. As somebody that has been in the military, conscripts are not an American thing. The way the military ran here was you had the regular army and then you had the militia, right? If the United States got into a big war, right, this before the 1903 Dick Act, I believe it's called, right? You get the militia all together, they would supplement the regular army, and then they would go to war. So there was no conscripts. So they're trying to bring stuff from the modern to the 19th century, which is Awesome Nicola says Vicky 3 is easy for me, but Vicky 2 is kind of complex. I actually have the reverse, man. Honestly, to me, this is feels much more complex, uh, and it does not make sense. As somebody that's in the military, that studied 19th century and 18th century military, and been in the 21st century military, they're incorporating 21st military things into the 19th century. It just doesn't work. Austin Nicola says, I just like Vicky 3 more. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have people that are going both ways, but I can tell you somebody that bought Vicky 1 back in the 90s. I remember going to it wasn't a GameStop. I forgot the name of the store. It probably doesn't even exist anymore, but GameStop replaced them or bought them. Seeing Victoria on the shelves and taking that and then opening the box and playing that game, to me that was by far one of the most incredible things. And Victoria 2 came out and it just made it game better. And then I feel as a OG Victoria player that this game just doesn't do it for me. And it just doesn't. Like, I'm a Hearts of Iron fan. I love what they did with the DLCs, adding so much customization with the planes and land units, tanks, and ships and stuff like that. And they added so much customization, spies, and all this stuff. All that stuff is cool, but if I had to compare it to Heart to Iron 3, you had to give me a choice, I would choose I think I would choose Heart to Iron 3. And the reason for it is because the military aspect of Heart to Iron 4 is less than it is in Heart to Iron 3. Right? Like, there's no cores in Heart to Iron 4, which is so. And I remember I interviewed the developers about it. And I forget what the response is. Go into my playlist for Hearts of Iron 3, and you'll find it out, the answer there. I totally forgot. Awesome Nicholas says conscripts are like backup men for your army in case you can't train professional armies in time. Yeah, I understand that, but that was not a thing in the 19th century in the United States. And am I saying should they made the United States of America an exception? Right? Should have they said, all right, well, we'll remove this feature from the United States because that didn't work in the United States, right? Um, well, look at your sales. Are a lot of your sales coming from the United States? Yes. Well, then yes, right? Um, should you, you know, I mean, if maybe I can understand if 99% of the world, Mexico, Brazil, Central America, African nations, all did a conscript kind of thing, and the United States had to be the one singled out, I would still do it because I mean, it's just removing certain lines of code and just say, all right, let's replace conscripts with militia. It'll take us an extra week or something. Do it. I mean, you know, a lot of your audience is going to buy the game in the United States. Um, Bilko says, good to hear somebody give an honest opinion. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, Paradox, and like, I'm gonna jump out of the game because I can't deal with this game anymore. Besides everything else, and some of the I know they're already doing DLCs for this. Yeah, Sphere of Influence. Yeah, DLC. Wow, $30 DLC. That's a lot. That's a lot. Compared to, like, I don't know, $10 DLC or less with Matrix and Slytherin. But look at this, all reviews. Victoria 3, 69%. Like, Sphere of Influence. I'm gonna go to Paradox Interactive. I'm gonna go to lists here, right? Oh, they're still making DLCs for EU4. Interesting. I do like EU4. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, the DLCs that they've been coming out with, they're not coming out with really good reviews. Um, Machine Age, oh, very positive. Okay, so some DLCs good, some not good. But like coming soon. Oh, I've heard this has been having some trouble. I think I've heard of that. They also removed another game that was supposed to be like a Sims by Paradox. They totally canned that game. So all the years or months, it's definitely probably years, that they did with that game is gone. City Skylines, the newest one. Um, let's look at the reviews. Mixed, 53%. I know I've heard some bad things about this game. I don't own that. I own this one. But you can see 93% positive, right? Like Paradox has become since they become a public company has fell apart. Oh, I didn't know they did Millennia. This is definitely a game that I was not going to buy because it did little to distinguish itself from Civilization, and you can tell because mixed reviews, 69%, 68%, 69%, whatever. I mean, just what is going on there? What is going on there? And by the way, the biggest kick in the groin that I ever got. I waited for Carry the 26 years for a sequel to to Star Trek Birth of the Federation. And they came out with Star Trek Infinite, and I was so gung ho. I interviewed the developers. I don't even think I released that interview. Now that I think about it, maybe I did. I don't know. I did so many streams, great positive reviews on the game. They only came out with the alpha and beta quadrants. If you're a Star Trek nerd like me, you'll understand what that means. Gamma and Delta, I think during the interview were in development, whatever. They totally, totally stopped making this game. I checked the Discord. There's no community behind it. From what I understand, because even though it's built on the Stellaris engine, it is difficult to mod. So, like, I wish I can go to Nimble Giant, which is based out of Argentina or Brazil, and be like, please, man, give me the source code. I'll publish it. If Paradox wants to go to war, we'll go to war, man. I'll go to legal, you know. But this is BS. Whoever dropped this game, I don't know if it's Paradox or if it's Paramount. I don't care who it is. You fracked up and you pissed off a lot of us. They've been waiting almost 3 decades for a sequel to a game that we all loved, and you fracked it up. I just it is so frustrating, man. And I bought this game, and I even gave out a free copy of this game, and it just you could see it's mixed reviews, 43% positive, because they stopped development. There is no development of this game. Game was abandoned by Paradox. Oh, by Paradox. Paradox, I will never interview you until you get your stuff together, right? I'm never going to say a good. I just. Anyway, if you want a good Star Trek experience, get the Star Trek mod or mods for Stellaris. This what had the potential of being an incredible game, and I was hoping that like they had like neutral zones, like this is a neutral zone right here. They would have been able to do so much with this game. And fine, Paradox, you don't want to invest in it. It's not making you money. Release, make it easier to mod. Release the source code or something. You know, do something so the game can get positive reviews. Say, hey, listen, this is how to mod the game. We're gonna release modding tools. so this way people could still buy the game, will make money. Do something, man. Stop sitting on your freaking fat fracking butt and do something, because you pissed me off. And it's honestly, I just honestly, what Paradox has done has destroyed itself. And I was such a big proponent of them. I bought your games in the 90s. I grew your company, man. And you destroyed it. How many games have you destroyed, man? The games that you've come out with, like, you don't even list Victoria here, dude. Like, you, 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 you don't even list Victoria. Like, you got the game to a point where it's finally like, where people are saying it's good now, and you're like, yeah, we're done. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you need medication? I can help you, CEO or executives. I'll pay for your medication. I'll pay for your medication if you need it. But like recent reviews, 82% positive, because when the game came out, it didn't have good reviews. So they got it up to 82%. Finally, they got the game to where it needed to be, and they stopped. Um, I missed a couple here. Okay. Awesome Nicola says, to me, opinions I see online about Vicky 2 compared to Vicky 3 just doesn't give quite enough bias, completely scripted, just reviews and cloud. A lot of games that are iconic have bad remakes, yeah, money grab. But I'll tell you, the Star Trek Infinite team, like, I interviewed them. They were passionate about the game. Like, the stuff that I talked about with them, like, you could see they were like passionate about the game. Like, we're doing this because we feel like in Star Trek this would be a thing, right? Um, yeah, and with like Sims 4, EA just develops most crappy DLCs known to mankind. They just can get money. It comes down to the executives, man. When it becomes a public company, you can see how bad it gets. Probably Embracer Corp, as they own the devs, is just corporate slop. Yeah, unfortunately, the great games now are indie games like Grand Tactician, right? I think they're just creating a frenzy. Star Trek is just too much a money maker. Uh, that's all they want. You know, honestly, like, because of what happened with Star Trek Infinite, we are not going to see a Star Trek strategy game for a long time. Had they done what they did with Imperator Rome with this game, it would have ballooned. I say fire the whole executive team of Paradox. Fire them all, right? And then get people that are on the lower end. Don't hire new executives from other companies. Get people that are in Paradox, that have been there for years, that are passionate about making games. Promote them, right? And have them make the decisions, because we're at a point right now where, like, they just gave up, and it is what it is. And I was so hoping Victoria 3, after 2 years, something like that. I have 11 hours in this game. After 2 3 years, is still crap. Is still absolute crap. And I just, it's still bad, man. They're getting the reviews from 69 to 70%. Three, almost 3 years, 2.5 years, they got it up 1%. 1%. Fire them all. Fire the whole executive team. That's what I say. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I am done with Victoria 3. Probably for ever. For a long, 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 long time. And I know some people are going to mention use mods. No, man. The base game should be good. Mods are designed to sweeten the pot. But Paradox CEO executives, you're all fracted up. And I know you running around in your BMWs, your high end Escalades, and all that stuff like that. Let me tell you something. Karma, man, it's all going to come back, man. Because somebody is going to. Man, I just hope somebody buys Paradox, fires them all. I wish I had the money to like say, all right, I have $100 billion. I'm buying Paradox. Hey, you all responsible for this? You're all fired, and go to the developers, the people passionate about the game. You're promoted. You're promoted. You're promoted. You're promoted. What's our time frame? There is no time frame. Make the game that the fans want. And that's what it should be.